Let's talk about how much I'm actually taking, that I'm injecting in my butt.
Okay. Coach Greg, and in today's video, Brandon Carter claims he's only been on testosterone for a year. That he was actually natural all along, but in my opinion, he just proved he's a fake natty all along. Don't believe me? Wait till you watch this video. At the end of the video, you decide for yourself. Do you agree with Coach Greg? Or Brandon Carter? Willing to bet the farm you're going to agree with Coach Greg. 1 year on testosterone. Regrets, side effects, gains. And well, I can't wait to see how much he's gained on his HRT doses for 1 year. Wait till you hear the doses. Gonna be shocked, mind blown. It's not HRT, it's a full-on professional bodybuilding cycle. Wait to hear the doses.
First of all, let me give a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, bro. I'm just a guy yelling at the camera.
And so just like Coach Greg, I ain't no doctor. Brandon Carter, also not a doctor. He's just gonna tell you what he's been doing for the last year. And I do believe he's being 100% honest in what he's done for this year. I don't believe it's honest in the past, but for this year, he's gonna be honest and tell us his experiences, the gains, and so on. Did I mention the doses? I can't wait to hear the doses.
The main reason, the number one reason I wanted to go on TRT, because I was feeling really tired, like lethargic. I was feeling like an old man. And it's because I am an old man.
And so why did he go on TRT? Well, he says it's because he didn't have as much energy as when he was in his 20s, that he's pretty much an old man. He's 39, you know, he's so old. Truth be told, most people will not have low testosterone levels at the age of 39. And yes, testosterone levels do decline as you age, but at a very slow rate, perhaps 1% a year. And so 39, not that old for a guy who's healthy, doing a lot of cardio. But the guy is a keto dieter, and people on keto diets, they almost always have lower levels of testosterone. Not only that, if you've seen the guy's physique, look how lean he is. He's eating a very strict diet, low in calories, carrying single-digit body fat. When you have single-digit body fat, lower body fat levels equate to lower levels of testosterone. And so if you don't have a lot of energy, you don't have the energy you used to, it quite often is a result of your diet, especially when trying to look like a fitness model, fitness influencer. And so rather than going on HRT, I do believe that if he added carbs, calories, increased his body fat to perhaps 12%, he would have had a lot more energy, had less brain fog, and been able to work harder than last time. But why bother with that? Let's just go on HRT. And is it in fact HRT when you're dosed? Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
I went to the doctor to see what was going on. You know, they checked everything. My whole body, blood tests, checked everything. And the only thing that came back was my testosterone was kind of low.
And so he went to the doctor and he had low levels of testosterone. And was that perhaps from doing SARMs or perhaps cycling on and off testosterone in the past? As I don't believe for 1 second, 0 seconds do I believe that this guy was a lifetime natty until last year. If he was, the doses that he went on, he would have put on a ton of muscle. He wouldn't look about the same. He would have experienced ridiculous, mind-blowing changes. But he didn't, and so I don't believe that this guy started as a natural athlete.
It's hard to make the amount of money that I want to make. Because I was already making millions being tired and sleepy, and I was thinking, man, I can make more millions.
And so apparently he's making millions of dollars, but it's not enough because he's just too tired to make the money. He can't work, he's too tired. You ever had a cup of coffee? You ever tried drinking a cup of coffee? Perhaps pre-workout a fat burner. Do you need HRT because you're tired? Do you in fact try going to bed on time? Having carbs in your diet. Not everyone functions optimally on a keto diet. And so despite the fact that you like the diet, maybe it's not the optimal diet for you. But hey, what's the point of that? Derek made a video, said he should probably try having carbs. Perhaps that's why he has low testosterone. But what does Derek know? What does Greg know? I know. Let's ask IFBB pro Ben Kapolsky, someone who probably knows a thing or two about testosterone, on what I should be taking.
I have not met one older guy who's out here crushing it who's not on TRT.
And so what really put Brandon Carter over the edge was when he talked to older people who were very successful. All of them, every single one, was on HRT. The thing is, most people will not openly speak about it. Do you think Jeff Bezos is going to come out and say, hey, I'm on HRT? Of course not. I personally believe that Brandon Carter has been on testosterone, SARMs, and other products since before this year, but we'll leave you to find out once we find out his doses of HRT.
Let's talk about how much I'm actually taking. I'm taking 1.5 cc's of testosterone every other day that I'm injecting in my butt.
Okay, so Coach Greg, I'm on 100 milligrams every 5 days. Every 5 days I do 100 milligrams, which is 0.5 cc. That's 1/2 of a mil. In comparison, Brandon Carter is on 1.5 cc's. That's 3 times as much as I'm taking, and I do it every 5 days. He does it every other day. And so he's injecting 300 milligrams of testosterone every other day. It equals to 1,050 milligrams per week. That's over a gram a week. That is the dose of a bodybuilder. In my life, I've never taken 1,000 milligrams of test a week. I've never taken that much. Some have 1,000. Even a beginner or moderate dose of testosterone, somewhere around 500, 600, 700 milligrams a week, that is a lot. That is more than enough to put 10 plus pounds of muscle in one cycle. He's been doing this for 1 year straight, over 1,000 milligrams. And not only that, he's also, of course, taking an anti-estrogen, because when you're blasting a shit ton of testosterone, a lot of it's converting to estrogen. You don't want to get gyno, you don't want to get puffy, and so he has to add an anti-estrogen, something like Arimidex. And so, does it make sense that he just started this cycle a year ago, and the results of 1 year on over a gram of test a week? Nothing. Never really noticed any benefits. Never really changed. Does that make sense? If you are in fact natural your entire life and you add in a gram of test a week, do you expect that at the end of the year you gain 1 pound of muscle, or would you expect 10 plus? And so it's my opinion, you can agree with me if you want, that he was probably not a lifetime natural, that he was already taking testosterone to get that amazing physique that he already have, while being on a keto diet with single-digit body fat, and he was already on the supplements, and so when he added and took 1,000 milligrams, it didn't make that much difference because he was already taking testosterone. And so does that make sense, or does it make sense that he could take a gram of test a week and not make any significant improvements in his physique after doing it for an entire year? And listen, 1,000 milligrams a week of test, that is not a safe HRT dose. There is no doctor that I have ever heard of in my life that would prescribe 1.5 mils of testosterone every other day to anyone. I don't know what kind of clinic he's at, but if the doctor's actually prescribing him that much testosterone, his testosterone levels would be through the roof. No one, I repeat, not one human being on this planet needs an HRT dose, the replacement dose of testosterone, at 1,000 milligrams plus. The average person probably going to make 50 to 70 milligrams of test in a week. Do you really think you need 1,000 to be a replacement dose? Of course not. With these high doses of testosterone, you put yourself at greater cardiovascular risk. You're going to have decreased HDL, that's the good cholesterol, increased LDL. You're just not going to be as healthy. Going to have elevated blood pressure, not as likely to live a long and healthy life.
The reason I'm doing it every other day instead of once per week, because Ben Bukowski, he said that it's better to do it more frequently because it keeps the levels more stable.
And so Ben Kapulski told him it's better to do this shot every other day. And that is debatable. For some people, it helps to have more stable blood levels. Some doctors, endocrinologists, will prescribe your testosterone every 2 weeks. In my opinion, that is far too long. That is what my endocrinologist wanted. I convinced him to allow it to be every 7 days, and later I got it to every 5 days. But perhaps some people need it more often than every 5 days, every 4, 3, 2, and so on. But just because you're doing it every other day doesn't mean you need to inject 300 milligrams. 300 milligrams per week. That is more than 99% of people would need on HRT. 300 milligrams a week, that is mind-blowing. It's over double what I do in a week. Think of it. Do people actually need double the testosterone that I'm doing? My 140 milligrams a week, to me, that is plenty. Anyone that's doing more than that, perhaps they need it, a few, but for the most part, they don't. There's no way that Brandon Carter needs to do 6, 7 times my dose to feel normal. And so what were the results? Well, he had more energy. Well, that's fantastic. That is in fact what he wanted. Other side effects, he has an even greater sex drive, but he says, my sex drive was already too strong in the first place. It was already too strong. It prevented him from making millions of extra dollars. He said, if I would have had lower sex drive, I could have made more money. But I was so preoccupied with sex all the time that it prevented me from making multi-millions of dollars. And so does it make more sense that he was probably already on testosterone, that the testosterone he was previously on was causing him to have an increased sex drive to the point of preventing him from making as much money as he needed? Or does it make sense that even with lower levels of testosterone, he already had such a crazy sex drive and that he needed 1,000+ milligrams a week to get him the testosterone levels that he needs?
I hear a lot of people saying that their recovery is a lot better when they do TRT. Mine is pretty much the same though. I haven't noticed a big improvement in that regard.
You added 1,000 milligrams of test a week and you don't notice increased recovery? Is that even remotely 1% possible? I'm asking you, you're watching this, even if you're 100% natural, do you believe that if you took 1,000 milligrams of test a week, which is a huge dose, that you wouldn't be able to recover better from the gym, that you wouldn't put on a ton of muscle? I mean, after all, is that not why people take testosterone for the most part? They want to build muscle. And so if you took 1,000 milligrams and you didn't build muscle, would you not think there's something wrong? Is it testosterone in fact fake? If he's getting it from a clinic, from an HRT doctor, then of course it's going to be pharmaceutical. And so to me, none of this makes sense.
Pretty hard for me to make a fair assessment on the gains. What I will say is I'm about the same. Maybe I'm a little bigger.
If you took 300 milligrams every other day, in weeks, you would notice a huge difference. You would have gained a significant amount of weight. There's no possible way you can add 1,000 milligrams of test to your cycle and train and not experience benefits from the HRT, which is in fact a large cycle, not HRT.
One of the negative side effects I've noticed, and it's not really a side effect, it's more of an inconvenience, is having to inject while you travel. So I have to travel with needles and testosterone and stuff.
But listen, that is not illegal. You have a prescription with your name on it. I do. I can bring it when I travel. It's not that big a deal. But listen, you don't have to inject every other day. Yes, it allows you to be a bit more stable, but it doesn't have to be that stable. It's equivalent to this. If you eat 6 meals a day, you're gonna have more consistent energy than if you eat 5. But is it really that big of a difference? Perhaps 1%. And so if you don't want to inject every other day, it's perfectly acceptable to inject every 3rd day. But when you're injecting that much testosterone, it is not healthy. I don't believe that for the rest of your life, you should be injecting 1,000 milligrams of testosterone a week. That is far more than expected. And listen, I had to rewind the tape 5 times because I thought he must have made a mistake. He's saying 1.5 mils. He must have meant 1/2 mil. Even if it was 1/2 mil, that is 150 milligrams every other day. That is still far more than he would need. That's still over 300 milligrams a week. And so I just don't get it. I don't understand why the dose is so high. I think he needs to come off this massive cycle and actually do HRT. And so instead of 1.5 mils every other day, perhaps he can go to 1/2 mil every 3 days. Probably gonna have lower sex drive, which is actually good for him. He doesn't like having this crazy sex drive, and he would have still plenty of testosterone. He would just be on a normal HRT dose. And what would happen? Well, his physique probably lose a little bit of muscle. He could probably get rid of the anti-estrogens because anti-estrogens during HRT cycles, they're only usually given when the testosterone dose is too high. When you convert too much testosterone to estrogen, there's a very strong chance that you're simply giving your body too much estrogen. If too much testosterone is converting to estrogen, there's a very strong chance that it's simply because you're injecting too much testosterone. My opinion, an HRT dose should not require an anti-estrogen unless it's an extreme situation. But when you're injecting over 1,000 milligrams a week, that is an extreme dose, and of course it's going to need an anti-estrogen, but it's no longer HRT. And so he says another negative side effect is once you're on HRT, you kind of have to do it forever, and that is half true, yes and no. You can in fact go off HRT, you're just not going to feel as good. But why would you do that? And so to me, it's like eating, training, doing cardio, lifting weights. If you do lift weights and you do cardio, you have to do it forever. If you don't, you're going to lose the gains that you made during the weights, during the cardio. But why would you stop? It just becomes part of your life. And so is it a negative side effect of doing cardio that you have to keep doing that cardio to keep your heart healthy? I don't think so. And so is it really negative that once you do HRT, you should do it forever? I also don't think so. It just becomes a part of your regular routine. And for me, injecting, which takes 1 or 2 minutes every 5 days, that is not too much to ask to feel healthy.
I think this ridiculously high sex drive is the #1 reason I'm only a multi-millionaire.
I just think that's so hilarious. The main reason I'm only a multimillionaire is because I have this really high sex drive. Like, only a multimillionaire, as if that's a bad thing. And this really high sex drive prevented you from only getting millions, and that if you had to have this sex drive, you'd make what, tens of millions? Like, I don't buy that. I don't think that's the case. And I do believe that it probably was already on testosterone in the past, and that's what actually gave him this really high sex drive. After all, how is it possible that you've added over 1,000 milligrams of test a week, and now you can't build much muscle? That it made almost no difference. That you haven't noticed any increase in recovery. You just have a little bit more energy, that's it, from 1,000 milligrams a week. Doesn't make sense.
A lot of people want to know, do I have any regrets? And the answer is no. No, I have no regrets. I've got way more energy and I'm making way more money. So yeah.
And so for him, he values making money, having energy to make money. It's all about making the money. And so why would he have any regrets? But listen, just because he doesn't have regrets today doesn't mean he won't have regrets down the road. What if in 5 to 10 years from now, when he's 45 or 50, the doctors finally wake up and say, wow, 1,000 milligrams a week of test for life? That's not a smart dose. Your cholesterol's out of whack. You're not healthy anymore. We're gonna have to take away that HRT because it's ruining your health. Will you have regrets then? And so for me, this is no different than somebody who's 39 years of age and says, I want to be a professional bodybuilder and I'm going to run gear year round. You can. I caution that you probably shouldn't. You can, of course. It's your body. Do what you want as long as it's legal in your country and you have a doctor prescribing it. As long as it's legal, that's okay. But I don't think this is something that anyone should copy or emulate. I don't think that having just financial goals as being the be-all, end-all. I think that we should optimize our health. I don't think that abusing HRT doses is something healthy. I don't think this dose should be copied by anyone. And so he says, I like keto, I like the diet, regardless of what Derek says. I don't care. I like the diet, it makes me feel good. Well, did it really? It led you to needing to use HRT. And so as much as you like the diet, was the diet in fact optimal? You can say you like it, but if the result is a low testosterone score, one that's so low that you require testosterone and in fact need 1,000 milligrams a week, does that sound like the best diet for you? And so I would have said, let's clean up this diet, let's make changes, let's add in some calories, some carbs, and see if your testosterone levels improve. Or you can go on an HRT clinic that doses you at over 1,000 milligrams, which to me is a drug dealing dose. Now, I just don't understand. And so perhaps this clinic is legit. Perhaps he's using secret doses. Perhaps he's up the dose. I don't know. I can't comment. I don't own the clinic. But I do know that any doctor that says you need 1,000 milligrams of testosterone a week, you should get a second opinion. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IFBB Pro. Check out the bloops. Also, subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. Don't forget, harder than last time supplements. Click the link in the description. Creatine, Turk Builder, protein powder, pre-workouts, G-Focus, GO2 Max, beta-alanine. The list goes on and on. Click the link in the description. The Circle Diet Book, the cookbooks, the training books, coaching plans by me and my team. And until next time, I am out.